Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Spellbinder doing the weekly unfiltered news from the reality zone, where political correctness is not spoken here. Compiled by G.Edwar Griffin. And this week, June 23rd through the 29th of 2012, and sorry I didn't get this out earlier, they had a large, massive damage come through with the storm system yesterday, and it took out power. And it took out everything. I mean, trees across the place. They had all types of damage. 90,000 people in Columbus are out power, and 30,000 plus throughout central Ohio do not have power today, and may not have power for a week or so. It's going to take that long to clean up and fix everything that was broken by the 70 to 85 mile an hour winds that rushed through this area. I have to say, we sustained damage also to a shed from the top of trees snapping off during that storm and crashing down one of the big trunks of it, smashing down on the shed in the corner and causing, permanent damage to the shed. It has to be replaced. This is this week's comic strip, and it's upheld. It's a tax. No. It's not a tax, says Obama, but now it is a tax. I guess he got his way after all. I guess the Supreme Court won. The man who changed all that, well, he got away with changing the vote, and he was supposed to be a good guy. He must have been threatened, or otherwise his medication for his epilepsy was affecting his thinking. Anyways, to the headlines. A threat by Italy and Spain to block everything at an EU summit meeting causes Germany to agree to an EU bailout of those countries to the tune of $126 billion. Also agreed upon is the creation of a new centralized financial authority that will control the monetary policy of EU countries. The bailout money will be created out of nothing by the EU Central Bank and therefore will come from taxpayers in the form of inflation in countries that use the euro. It's the same old trick. Turn every crisis into an opportunity to expand government and bank power and to plunder the common people. Telegraph, June 29th. Amazing, isn't it? Two Merck scientists say that the drug company falsified data for its mumps vaccine. The true data showed that the vaccine actually promoted mumps and measles outbreaks. Natural News, June 28th. That's right. They're actually now creating vaccines that actually give people the very thing that's supposed to protect them. And they're trying to convince the people who get the vaccines that the people who don't get the vaccines are contagious. Really? I thought the vaccine was supposed to keep them from getting such things. It's just a trick to make us all take the vaccines. U.S. In a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. The provision requires all Americans to purchase health insurance was upheld on the grounds that it is a tax and therefore falls within the taxing power granted to Congress by the Constitution. What would the founding fathers who wrote the Constitution have to say about that? Forbes, June 28th. Yeah, and do you not know that the money is not going to the government? Oh no, it's going to the banksters, to their insurance companies that they own. Think about that. Google it. Video. Massachusetts GOP requires Ron Paul delegates to sign loyalty oaths to Mitt Romney. Those that refuse were disqualified to be delegates to the National Convention. Illegal? Unethical, you say? Yes, but it worked. YouTube, June 28th. That's right. They're still attacking Ron Paul, the only candidate that should win. The other two are nothing but working for the banksters and Wall Street and anyone else that is going to rob us of our money and put it from our pockets to theirs. Well, U.S. scientists have created 3 genetically engineered human babies that carry DNA from 3 parents, and this will be passed on to their own offspring. In other words, the human species is being altered with the likelihood that a new species eventually will be created that may be superior or most probably inferior to humans in important ways. We don't like the ideal either. Daily Mail posted June 28th. And this is Franken people. Yes, now they're making Franken people, not just Franken food. U.S. House of Representatives votes to hold Attorney General Eric Holder in contempt of Congress for his role in the cover-up of the Fast and Furious gun-running operation. A vote of contempt is relatively toothless, and it will be difficult to bring actual criminal charges against him in the view of the fact that Obama has invoked executive privilege to withhold documents that could prove Holder's illegal acts. Daily Mail, June 28. That's right. You can't stop these criminals. They're all criminals. And it seems like all the other government agencies, statewide and other, are following suit. They think our big government gets away with it. They can get away with it. As in this video, cyber criminals hacked into bank servers across the world and stole $75 million. The theft has not yet been stopped and losses may reach $2 billion. New Sky, June 27. U.S. House, Congressional Committee approved Ron Paul's bill to audit the Federal Reserve, including its monetary policy. This is good news, but it will have to pass both House and Senate and be signed by Obama to go forward, which is unlikely considering the power of the Fed and the present composition of Congress. We shall see. Bloomberg, June 27. Syria, rebel gunmen stormed a pro-government TV station, killing 3 employees after Assad announced that the country was at war with Western interest, not merely fighting scattered rebel forces. Yeah, they're called mercenaries. That's what these rebel forces are. Reuters, June 27. GMO crops usually produce internal chemicals to repel common insects that would damage natural crops. That's the theory. In reality, insects quickly adapt to the GMO chemicals and mutate into new forms that are even more destructive to GMO plants than the old insects were to natural plants. Other problems are the unknown long-term effects on animals and humans from eating these altered plants. Nature has a way of getting even, don't you know? 109, June 27th. Las Vegas police are being sued for training sniffing dogs to give false alerts so that the officers could illegally search vehicles and confiscate property for financial gains. 8 News Now, June 26. Yeah, see? The smaller governments are now thinking it's okay since the big government's getting away with all these crimes, that they can do crimes too and get away with it. I hope they get busted for this and they all lose their job. I hope at the least. They shouldn't be able to allow to train a dog to sniff falsely on anyone so they can confiscate property. But that's property seizure law. Don't you know? That should never have been passed. It was a good ideal, but good intentions are the road to hell. U.S. small-town police departments are receiving battlefield-grade arsenals thanks to federal programs that allow them to get their hands on free military surplus equipment such as amphibious tanks, armored vehicles, night vision goggles. This is helping to change the role of America's police from protecting citizens to controlling citizens. Wired, June 26th. This is just wrong. It's all part of the takeover of the major police state. Not saying the police are the police state, but they're being given all these toys. Boys and their toys. U.S. Federal Appeals Court upholds EPA's claim that greenhouse gases, including CO2, are harmful to human health. It refused to hear evidence to the contrary offered by the state of Virginia on the assumption that the EPA could not be wrong. Virginia plans to appeal to Supreme Court. Washington Times, June 26. Yes, it's already been proven that CO2 is not caused by humans, but that we shouldn't have to pay for it. They'll have to find another way, like plants and trees. That takes care of a lot of the CO2 problem. Oh, but that's not the point. Putting money from their pocket, from yours, is the point. U.S. Senator Rand Paul voted against the amendment to the Farm Bill that would permit states to require labeling of GMO foods. This is not because he thinks states should not have the power, but because under the Constitution they already have it. Voting for a law to permit that which does not need permission would imply that the federal government had the power, not only to grant permission, but to deny it. Congratulations to Senator Paul. There is a reason why for that. He says, why do we need a law? For something we don't need a law for, because it's already known that they don't have the power anyways. And if, for them to say that we can't have labeling on there, the labeling should be held under corporate responsibility, that they should be punished if they don't do it for the safety of the public. Natural News, June 26. Australia. Up to 20,000 mosquitoes containing genetically engineered bacteria have been released with the goal of reducing the spread of dengue fever. The goal is worthy, but scientists cannot predict the effects of the new breed of mosquitoes will have in terms of changing the natural food chain or causing new variants of the dengue fever that might be worse than the original. Once again, man tampers with nature's delicate balance. Yes, they does. They're playing God. Natural News, June 26. Playing nature, if you want to call it that. U.S. State and local governments have quietly guaranteed payments on bonds issued by for-profit enterprises such as shopping malls, garbage incinerators, and skating rinks. Now the insufficient cash flow to pay off the bonds, taxpayers are put on the hook for the shortfalls. Since the proper function of the state is only to protect the lives, liberty, and property of its citizens, none of these enterprises should have been undertaken by political bodies in the first place. It should have been the citizens if they want that, and they would have passed a local ordinance if they wanted it and vote on it. See, we're not being able to vote on anything. We're just being told this is what we decide because you put us in charge. No, we put you in there to listen to us. Sorry, government. CNBC, June 26. Something of interest that's collectible. Article. Global warming evangelicists claim that sea levels are rising on the U.S. coast due to melting ice, but satellite data shows that what they mistook for a rising sea level was a sinking land level. Don't pay attention to those annoying little details. We've got to have carbon taxes to stop global warming, right? We got to stop that global warming. Real Science, June 25th. I'm telling you, they're trying to take money from your pocket more and put it in theirs. The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday struck down most of Arizona's anti-illegal immigration law. In response, Justice Scalia wrote a scathing dissenting opinion and criticized the federal government for failing to enforce its own immigration laws. Yahoo News, June 25th. That's right, the laws are already there. We got hundreds of laws already. And they just keep adding these new laws. I guess there's money to be made in them. That's the only thing that can be. Syria shot down a Turkish jet within a mile of Syrian airspace. Turkey is trying to enlist NATO's help in retaliating, claiming that it was an attack on the whole military alliance. The whole region is itching to get a war started. Someone probably will succeed in doing so. Fox News, June 25th. Officer of the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, GATA, says that 75% to 80% of gold trade in the bullion market doesn't even exist. It's just a stack of paper contracts. When the system finally can no longer sustain the fraud, those who hold paper will lose everything. His advice? If you want to invest in gold or silver, take possession of the real thing, the metal. Do not take paper. It's as worthless as the paper dollar that's been inflated through mass production. RMI Global, June 24th. Video. CNBC experts admit that people are slaves to central banks because the free market has been replaced by a common economy which is driven by bank policy, and they don't appear to be concerned about this. The reason is that this is not new. It's been like this since the Federal Reserve was created 99 years ago. What is new is admitting it in such a plain terms. Yahoo, June 23rd. Just think about that. They're now admitting it. They're just coming out criminally and saying, yeah, we're doing this. Yeah, we're taking your rights away. Yeah, we run you. It's just like news article that they had on TV where these guys said, "Oh yeah, the bankers run everything. They own it all. The corporations they own it all. Yeah. It's nothing new. It's okay." No, it isn't. It's anti-American, at least, and against humanity worldwide. The American Medical Association has revised its policy and now says that GMO food should undergo safety testing before approval for market. I've been saying that for years. This will put pressure on the FDA to do so. But counter pressure from the GMO industry is great and backed by mega money, so we do not expect any meaningful changes in the near future. Natural Society, June 23rd. The UN's Agenda 21 Sustainable Development meeting in Rio ended without a binding treaty, but $513 billion in pledges were made by governments and private companies to fund future environmental programs and so-called green energy. Do not be fooled. These programs are mere fronts for the real agenda, which are political control over all aspects of commerce and private activity and for corporate profiteering from taxpayer-funded projects. Bloomberg, June 23rd. Exactly. That's what it is. Money from your pocket to theirs. I can't say it any more often. British government-run healthcare system is euthanizing 130,000 patients per year. They have a death panel over there. Our Obamacare has a death panel in it. Read it. It's 2,500 pages. It's in there. Doctors say this is necessary to control costs. The number is expected to rise as the system continues to lose money. Running like Social Security. It is more cost-effective to sedate patients with morphine and then allow them to die of dehydration and starvation than to treat their conditions. This is the future of Obamacare in the U.S. New American posted June 23rd. Seattle Police Department says that more than 100,000 video recordings from police dashboard cameras have disappeared. Imagine that. Covering their crime. Increasingly, dashcam videos have been used to expose police brutality, and police departments are reluctant to make them available for public viewing. What more needs to be said? What can be done when the police become criminals and the criminals become police? Seattle PI, June 23rd. Video. Judge Napolitano. The other commentators analyze the Supreme Court decisions that Obamacare is a constitutional tax. This may be the most bizarre tax in history because the tax is not doing something. That's right. For not doing something, you get taxed. Daily Paul, June 29th. Article of interest. If you are wondering how the price of gold is manipulated, this analysis is for you. You will see that bullion banks that sell gold to investors possess only about 1% of what they sell, a fraud that is possibly only because most buyers are content to leave their gold on deposit with the sellers, thinking that it is in a safe keeping. All they really have is a piece of paper that says they own the gold, but the gold doesn't exist. When the price of gold starts to rise, they simply sell more paper gold to bring the price down. Again, this cannot continue forever, of course, but it is going on now, so you will need to know about it. This is an excellent premiere on how the game is played. Gata, June 27th. Paper's the game, I suppose. Paper. Here we go. Video. U.S. Judge Napolitano is outraged that the government is focusing on who leaked Obama's killer drone strategy to the press as a distraction from the more important fact that the drone attacks against Iran are illegal acts of war, because they're never declared. Never. After the grace period. Fox News, June 26th. Using the GDP, gross domestic product, as an indicator of the robustness of the economy is useless and misleading because it includes government spending and fails to account for inflation. That means the more government spends, the more the Federal Reserve creates money out of nothing. The higher the prices soar and the more the nation goes into debt, the better the GDP looks. But the underlying reality is that this is a measure of economic rot. Nothing more, nothing less. Gold money. June 23rd. And the last two stories. Video, St. Louis, Missouri. Military training exercises take place on highways and neighborhood streets. But why? Could it be to condition people to accept and even be grateful for a military presence? This analysis says yes. YouTube, June 23rd. And it is. They're just conditioning us to get used to it. Police, Kamatatis is gone. Video, Iceland refused to pay the debts of its banks, indicated its former Prime Minister G.Edwar, the imprisoned 3 top banksters or bankers. Did Iceland collapse because of this? No, it is recovering nicely, and that should be a lesson to other countries. Although we applaud holding banksters or bankers accountable for their crimes, we do not endorse government ownership or operation of banks, as we've done in Iceland. Banking is not the proper function of the state. YouTube posted June 23rd, and that's the news that you may have missed for this week. I hope you have a beautiful what's left of the weekend. Hope you wasn't caught up in the Central Ohio and the Ohio Valley storm that came through Ohio itself and took out all the power and everything. Hope you have a wonderful day, weekend. Be good at it, and good day.